Hey, hey, hey. Another rousing episode of Urban Politics. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music. That right there is my joint, THC. It's got Lord Hakeem in it. And it's a fresh little hip hop joint right there. I love this song right here. And, THC, I'll let you figure out what that's about. Because this is a family show. But that's some of the music, you know what I'm saying, I do in my off time. But you're not here for that. That's a fine bit of hip hop right there. But we're not here to even talk about that. What we're here to talk about is my fresh Christmas blazer. We're not here to talk about that. That is fresh though. I know you like that. Check me out though. I can only wear it this month. So every episode you see this month, I'll probably be wearing this blazer. Definitely a different tie, definitely a different shirt, maybe even a different vest. But for sure enough, you're going to see this blazer because like I said, it's one time a year I get to wear it. But enough of that. Let me get right into it like a car and drive. Urban politics, there's a whole lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. First of all, I'm going to start off talking about the Senate races. I know you've heard a lot about it. There have been a lot of people talking about these Senate races in Georgia. They're huge because this right here, if the Democrats could win both of these races, they could clinch both seats. And what that would do is it would make it 50-50. You know, as far as the House and the Senate goes, and make it 50-50. And then the deciding vote would be the vice president, who would be Miss Kamala Harris. So that would give Democrats just a little bit of an edge. But that's huge when you're talking about things like the Green New Deal and other stuff like that, and maybe protecting Roe versus Wade and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? When stuff like that may or may not come up for a vote. It's a big deal to be able to have that vice president who would have the deciding vote in a house that is 50-50. But first, we got to get to that 50-50. And to do that, what needs to happen is Loeffler and Perdue both need to lose their seats, you know, to the Democratic challengers. For there to be, like I said, for it to be 50-50. You know, for that to be, in Congress. Right now, it's 48% Democrats, 50% Republicans. If they can win those two seats, then make it 50-50. There's that. That'll give Democrats a narrow advantage. Trump and Pence were both in Georgia yesterday. They're going hard, trying to, that's definitely get support so that people come out and vote, because that's huge, saying they need voters. And there's a couple of pro-Trump attorneys, Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood, who are urging Georgia voters to not vote for either candidate, saying that they haven't done enough to support the president. What? So put that together in your head. What we have going on here is we have two attorneys who work for the president, who are saying, yeah, there's been all this voter fraud, a lot of voter fraud right here in Georgia. Then going out there and telling Republicans, don't vote, because why would you vote? The last vote, the presidential vote, was ripe with fraud. Our votes and our elections are ripe with fraud. Why vote in this election anyway, since it's ripe with fraud? No need to do that. But in not doing that, you risk losing these two seats that Republicans desperately need. So then I ask myself, are these lawyers, who are Republicans themselves, are they wrapped up in the story that Trump has been telling, saying that that votes are rigged and that it doesn't make a difference because it's rigged anyway? Or are they low-key trying to sabotage because they're rogue Democrats? I only say that because I guess one of them donated a bunch of money to Barack Obama like twice. I'll figure out which one of them it was, but you can do the research on that yourself. But one of them was a big-time donator to Barack Obama and then turned Republican. So this is interesting here. I'm going to be watching this thing in Georgia. I say you should be watching it too, because the presidential race was huge and Georgia did turn blue. That's also huge. That also says something. Think about that. Georgia's been Republican forever, for a long, long time. And now they went blue. They went for Biden. So they might end up messing around and going for these two Democrats who are running for these two seats in Georgia. If that happens and Democrats do get that narrow majority that they need in the Senate, that might be all that they need, because you'll have a Democratic president, you'll have a Democratic House, and then you'll have a Senate where Kamala Harris is the deciding vote if there's a tie. So that might be the edge, like I said, the Democrats need when you're talking about passing things like the Green New Deal and stuff like that. So that's huge right there. But this guy is telling them to not vote. I don't know if it's because, like I said, that he's bought the Trump lie, that these elections are rigged, so what's the point? Or is he really trying to sabotage what would be his own party? That blows me away, and it is so weird. They've kind of painted themselves into a corner, because it's kind of hard to go out here and tell people, we need every, conscientious Republican American to go out here and vote because we want to retain our majority and retain our power. But then, on the other hand, tell them that these votes are rigged and they don't mean anything. And we just had a president who had an election stole from them, so it doesn't mean anything. You're talking on both sides of your neck, and that's got to be confusing voters. So they painted themselves into a corner with that. So GOP, it's going to be fun to see how you all figure that out. But you all definitely did that to yourselves. So, yeah, we'll see what they do with that. But that's interesting. So that's going on there. Newt Gingrich, you remember that guy? That's a blast from the past. He even came out and said both of those lawyers are tripping. Linwood and Sidney Powell, he said they tripping. Every Republican in Georgia needs to come out and please vote so that we retain our power. These guys are bugging. So I hear what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I hear on that side, I don't vote Republican. But if I did, I definitely hear what he's saying. If I were a Republican in Georgia, I would vote. Right there, you want to retain your power, you need to vote so that you'll retain those seats. But like I said, some of these people are trumpeters. Some of these people really do believe in the president, believe the words that come out of his mouth. If you believe the words that come out of his mouth, voting then would be a waste of your time, because these votes or these elections are all rigged, and the big horse race we just had was rigged. So, I don't know. That's something. Other Republicans have wrote a letter to the president and asked that the focus not be on winning the focus not be on the results of the November 3rd election, but the focus be on winning the Georgia elections, or the Georgia race. So I hear that. They're saying, please, when you go down there and do your thing on Saturday, don't go talking about how the election was stole from you and all of that. That's a separate issue from us winning in Georgia. We still need to win in Georgia. But they need to understand something about Donald J. Trump. That man is truly selfish. He don't give a damn about Republicans retaining their power in Congress. He don't care about that. He cares about him retaining his power. So if it helps him, he'll do that. If it don't help him, he don't care. He don't care. He don't care. So y'all would think that he'd go down there and he'd talk about, ways that they can retain their power. He don't care about the party retaining their power. He cares about Donald J. Trump retaining his presidency, and there's no way that can happen. So he's just tanking the whole thing and taking everybody down with him. Oh well, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But they need to get that through their head. He don't care nothing about Republicans. He don't care nothing about that party. And sometimes they'll even say it. He's not a Republican or a Democrat, or a conservative or a liberal. He's a populist. He's a populist. I agree. He's a populist. And a populist is just like popular music. It's what people dig, but it ain't always great. And it's definitely not the best thing for you a lot of times. But it's popular. Everybody likes it. It's like soda. It's popular. It's not good for you. It has no redeeming qualities. It is not healthy at all. It doesn't do anything but give you a ton of sugar. Sometimes it gives you bad acne, but it's delicious. People love the taste. It's popular, but it's not necessarily good for you. So that's Trump. He's a populist, not a conservative. So they need to remember that. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some sad stuff. COVID. Gotta talk about it. COVID is still ravaging America, and it ain't going nowhere. Even though, Trump is sick of talking about it. He's bored with it. But unfortunately, the rest of us can't be bored with it, because, like I said, it's killing a ton of Americans right now as I speak, as I'm doing this show. People out there buying it and dying from COVID. DeWine says that we're in crisis right now, and I feel him when he says that. You can see the look on his face. He's like, yeah, we're in crisis. He said it's only going to get worse. The National Guard will distribute 98,000 vaccines. That's coming. But healthcare workers are they're scared about spikes from the heavy travel this holiday season. And you got to think about it. We've had Thanksgiving. People, getting on planes, trains, automobiles, everything else, traveling all over this great country of ours, visiting family and friends. You got college students coming in. Some of that travel you can't help. Some of that travel, some of these people just didn't care and was traveling anyway. They're like, hey, it's been a rough year. 2020 has beat me all up. I need to see family. I need to see friends. I need to have a drink. I need to relax with my loved ones. I hear that. but these days it might be detrimental to your health. So, oh well. And healthcare workers knew there was going to be some of that going on, so they get the backlash from it because these people get sick and then they come to the hospital. So there's that. When I was doing the notes for this report, we were at 276,500 deaths. I'm sure we're past that right now as I'm speaking. They said we're expecting 330,677 deaths by Christmas. That is sad, which is right around the corner. And then they said we're going to surpass 500,000 deaths by January 30th. So think about that. We'll be into the new year. We'll be 30 days into the new year, and we'll be at 500,000 Americans that we have lost from COVID-19. So that's very sad. Here's a little bit of good news, depending on how you look at it. That's why I'm framing it as good news. It depends on how you look at it, whether it's good news or not. So here's what I can say. This is some news. You know what I'm saying? This is some news that doesn't necessarily suck. How about that? Check this out. 65.3 million people have gotten the novel coronavirus since it was reported in Wuhan, China. Think about that. 65.3 million people have gotten it. With that said, 1.5 million people have died worldwide from it. That's sad. 42 million people have recovered. That's promising. The head of the CDC says that this next 3 months will be extremely rough. I'm paraphrasing, but he had said this next 3 months will be probably the roughest 3 months in American health history. You know, and I'm not being hyperbolic. That's closer to a quote of what the man said. It ain't gonna be nothing nice. But you gotta think, this is already cold and flu season. You mix in the coronavirus. You mix in people traveling hither and thither. You mix in people going to stores and buying stuff because 'tis the season to be jolly. So people are buying gifts. People are having holiday parties. People are carousing together. People are drinking together. They're eating together. They're buying stuff at big department stores where everybody's breathing the same nasty air in a big old department store. So there's a lot of stuff going on this year and a lot of stuff going on this time of year that's going to exasperate this thing. It is what it is. And how about this? I'm not sure there's anything we could do about that. I'm not sure there is. I mean, in a perfect world, and a lot of y'all don't want to hear this, but guess what? In a perfect world, every governor in America would lock down every state. And all of us would be confined to our homes right now for at least the next 3 months. And that is what it is. Not even essential workers like myself going to work and stuff like that. Just everyone, boom, in their home for 3 months, ghost town. But even with that, you still couldn't do that. Why? Because you do have to have grocery stores open. Because people do have to eat. Essential workers like myself do need to go to work. I do work with disabled adolescents. I got to be there. They need somebody to work with them. Disabled adults, they need somebody to work with them. Elderly adults, they need somebody to work with them. You have to have these things. You can't not have them. Fast food restaurants, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, these guys got to be pumping because people got to eat. That's the only way you can keep a society moving. People got to work. When people are working, people got to eat. These things got to be open. Society has to move on. So even though you want to shut everything down, you can only do that so far. But even if they went or would go a step further than a lot of things they do, and you see, it probably would not be enough. You know, at this point, it's almost too little, too late. We're gonna see where this thing goes, but I think all of us should go ahead and strap in. We're gonna be dealing with this madness for a long, long time. And this right here shows you that leadership matters. Leadership matters. You know, there were other things that came along that could have been just as bad as this, but they weren't because we had leadership that cared. You know, but when you have leadership that doesn't care, when you have leadership that's fine to sit back and hopefully let a herd mentality, you know, solve stuff, hopefully enough people will catch it to where enough people get immune to it, and then we ain't got to do nothing about it. That's just lazy. And that is, excuse my French, piss poor leadership. That's no leadership at all. I tell people all the time, I tell you, this president is so ghetto. He is the ghettoest president ever. This guy is ghetto because he's just lazy. He don't want to do anything. You know, he got sick of Corona, got sick of talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. How lazy, how ghetto. You know, I mean, this guy, he just calls it in. It ain't no thing. He don't care. Has people come to the White House, he goes and gets fast food because he's ghetto. This is the ghettoest president, and it's a trip because everybody thought that this guy was going to do all the things that the current administration's doing. Pardon his criminal friends, have a bunch of affairs, have some drug stuff going on. This guy, he didn't do none of that. This dude looks like Jesus Christ walking on water next to the current administration. That's a sidebar. But it's just the point, man. It's a trip, man. This whole thing has been a trip, man. This whole COVID nightmare. But it's going to take us some time to get out of it. Those of you, please be vigilant. I'm vigilant. Like I said, I tell people all the time, I am an essential worker because I work with disabled youth. And, every day I make sure that I keep that mask on, especially when you're around people. And do a little social distancing and all that, man. Adhere to these things, man. Because like Dr. Fauci said, that's the one thing or the two things that can really save people. Social distancing and wearing that mask. I said wearing that mask because that's the biggest thing. So wear that mask. There's that. All right, moving on. Let's talk about DACA. DACA. That's right. Now, a lot of people have probably even forgotten about DACA but DACA actually ties in big to what people have been going on and on about lately about how there's kids at the border in cages and stuff like that. That all ties into this. DACA was a program that Obama had. It was an Obama policy that protected the Dreamers. The Dreamers were the kids who came over to America with undocumented parents. So that means, you have some illegal immigrants who came across with their child. Their child has lived here forever, went to school here forever, has friends here, works here, has a life here, has been here forever. And then, some people in the Trump administration be like, send that guy home. He's undocumented. Well, he came 1,000,000 years ago with his parents through no fault of his own. Why are you going to send him back to a country he doesn't even know? The only country he knows is America. Sure, he came here illegally, but he was a baby when he came here and his parents brought him. So Obama said these people are not illegals or even undocumented immigrants. You know what they are? They're dreamers. These are kids who have dreams of living a better life than they probably could live in their country. How about this? These are kids who have dreams of living a better life that their parents know they couldn't live in their country. That's the reason why they snuck them in over here. So that's what's up. That is what it is. What's great about that whole DACA thing is that on Friday, a federal court judge ordered the Trump administration to reinstate DACA. So they had gotten rid of it because the Trump administration's been on that. They've been wanting to get rid of immigration as we know it. All the little games they've been pulling at the border, putting kids in cages. I've been through that ad nauseum on this show. Barack Obama, he had some of those same tactics and policies that the Trump administration had, but the Trump administration, what they did is they revved it up and they didn't do it humane. This guy did it in a humane way. They chose not to do that. So that's what went down with that. A federal judge said, cut the games, reinstate DACA. That's a good thing. Bring that back. And he also required them to open it up to new applicants for the first time since 2017. So there it is. And I'm sure that's one of the first things that Trump went head after when he got in office. He said, number one, let's get rid of DACA. I remember that. And if you remember, people were talking about DACA. Oh, yeah, that's about the Dreamers. And even Republicans were referring to them as the Dreamers, the Dreamers, the Dreamers Act. And then he said, nah, stop calling them the Dreamers. It's not Dreamers, DACA. A lot of people don't know that. It's not the Dreamers Act. It's not about the Dreamers. It's about DACA. He wanted to make sure that you didn't, or that people didn't think of it as the Dreamers, like Obama called it. Don't think of them as Dreamers, because he said American kids, white kids. I'm sorry. Being real with you though. American kids, white kids, are dreamers too. He says, so let's not just talk about these Spanish brown-skinned kids who are dreamers. Let's remember that these white American kids are dreamers too, and we got to adhere to them too. So don't call them dreamers. Call it DACA. Call it DACA. So, but they are dreamers. That's what you know what I'm saying. That's what's good. That's what's good. They come here to America because they're dreaming of a better life for themselves. They are dreamers. So there's that. Judge, I think the guy's name. I'm gonna mess this up, but Judge Garifas told them to give a 2-year work permit instead of the 1-year work permit that the Trump administration suggested. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf did not have the authority to close DACA. He didn't have the authority to do that. And his very appointment violated Homeland Security Act of 2002. The Governor Accountability Office deemed his appointment invalid back in August. So see, all this has been going on, and this guy has been invalid anyway. So he calling shots and doing all this stuff down there, and he ain't even supposed to be there. The Trump administration, that's why I said they ghetto, man. They are really raggedy. They're raggedy over there. Because here you go appointing a guy that didn't do that right. His appointment was unjust. They go back and said that, like, said he shouldn't even have been there. His appointment, it invalidated this act of 2002. They raggedy over there. So they're going to have to answer for all of this. I'm sure you've been watching the news. They had already talked about how there's like 500 and some kids who they can't find. 500 and some, parents who they can't find to reunite with these children. So they got to figure something out too. That all ties into this too. I'll tell you what, that administration has been messing up bigly when it comes to immigration, and it would be funny if it wasn't so god-awful sad. But anyway, so there's that. There's a lady named Karen Tumlin. She's an attorney representing the immigrants. She said that this administration needs to stop its attacks on immigrant youth. And that's what it's about. This whole thing has been an attack on immigrants at large, but it's been an attack on immigrant youth. They're scared of those kids. They don't like those kids because those immigrant kids, I'm going to tell you, most oftentimes those immigrant kids, they're hungry. They know that they came over here or their families brought them over here for a better way of life, and they go after it. They go after it relentlessly, unrelentingly. They go to school, they get good grades, they are at the top of their class, they get good jobs, they make good money, they have good homes. All of that. Because when you come from nothing, you see the value in education, okay? And I can speak on that because my father is one of those people who came from nothing and put it and made the correlation where if I get an education, then I can get some money, and that's what he did. That's what happens. Now he's not an immigrant, so you got to think of that. That's an even harder core thing. To come from another country, really be starting off at the bottom and saying, but we got to make it, and then they dig their heels in and they make it. You have some of these people who are afraid of that tenacity. They're afraid of that go-getter spirit. Because a lot of Americans lost it a long time ago if they ever had it. So a lot of immigrants, they come over here and they get up on that stuff. And they make a great life for themselves. And for whatever reason, people catching feelings over that. Why are you mad about that? Why are you mad about that? This guy came over here and made a better life for himself. Well, bully for him. Why don't you go make a better life for you? You from here. It shouldn't be that hard. Whatever, there's that, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But like she said, it is an attack on immigrant youth. It's good to see that this federal judge got rid of that, and that's also another loss for the Trump administration. They might win some, but they just lost another one with the other 30 or 40 some ones that they've been losing lately. Moving on, the last thing that I want to talk about, and probably the most important thing, is Trump being the useful idiot. He is a useful idiot. Now, when he ended up getting elected, he came down that elevator. Before that, and even a little bit after that, a lot of people were poo-pooing this guy, right? A lot of people were like, Trump is this, he's horrible, he's racist, I think he's a terrible individual, he's blah, 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 he's this, he's that, that, that. He's all that. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, all of these guys who are so far up his butt right now, they were just all coming out against him, and they were saying true things about the man's character because they knew the man. They knew. But, what I'm saying, things changed, especially with Mitch McConnell, when they got hit to the fact that Trump truly didn't know anything. That he truly was a day trader when it came to politics. He doesn't know how this game works. He doesn't understand it. He thinks he does, and he's turned on by the trappings. He's turned on by the marquee. He's turned on by the glitz and the glamour of it. He likes being president. He likes the fact that he goes to these states and he has these big rallies where these people have to stand around and they cheer at him and they clap for every word that comes out his mouth. Even the stupid jokes that he fumbled through and they didn't come out right, they're still clapping for those. They're wearing his little hats. They buy his merchandise. They love him. This is their dictator. I mean president. This is their king. I mean president. So he likes all that stuff. But the nuts and the bolts of being president, he ain't feeling that. He ain't feeling that. He don't want to go to no COVID briefings. He don't want to talk about no foreign policy. Who's got time for that crap? That's not interesting. That's not fun. So all that little stuff, the real stuff, that you really need your president to be interested in and take an interest in and really do his homework so that he can help all of us live better lives? Trump ain't interested in that. And they knew that. So when they seen him coming, they seen a mark. You know, they saw low-hanging fruit when they finally got hip to the fact that Trump, he's not too into legislating. This guy likes to be seen. He likes his photo ops with his rich and famous friends, but he's not too into legislating. Good, because we are into legislating, and we can make this dude do whatever we want done. And he'll have the pen and the power of the presidency, and we can talk him into anything we want to talk him into. Now, he's not the first person this has happened to. I'll tell people all the time, this is what happened to George W. Bush. Yeah. Now, I'll go on record too as saying I'm one of the people who always was mad at George Bush. I said, man, if I ever meet him, I can't wait to give him 5 across the jaw. That guy was a horrible president. But I'll take all that back, because I understand that what he was a guy who got used and manipulated by Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney as vice president. Those two dudes, they bullied that guy. That guy, he wasn't ready. And the same with Trump. You know what I'm saying? He's a fish out of water, floundering. And now he's really floundering. And now we're just seeing it. He's floundering. But he's a fish out of water. You know? He thought it was going to be easy. He thought he'd go over there on Capitol Hill. A game. These guys have been playing this game for hundreds of years, literally. He thought he was going to go in 4 years, change Washington. No. No. You're not going to have your way with Washington. Washington's going to have its way with you, and then they're going to throw you out. And that's what's happening right now. They're throwing them out. If you notice, a lot of people ain't got no holler for him no more. Fox News, they're not catering to him like they used to. Now, they don't mind coming out and pushing back against the president. Why is that? Because you ain't the man no more. And he got to get hip to that. Politics is like everything else. What have you done for me lately? You're only as good as your last book. You're only as good as your last album. And that's what's up. So I don't know what to tell you, Mr. President. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You should have seen this coming. Should have seen the writing on the wall. You know what I'm saying? You have expended your usefulness. So now it's time for you to just exit. You could exit with some dignity. You could go ahead and concede like all the other cats before you, fall in line with that rich tradition of being a humble and gracious loser, and accept it. Embrace it. I think I put that on Facebook. I said, man, I think, Trump and the whole GOP, they need to raise their hands in the air and receive it from the Lord. You lost. Game over. We all been there. You know, how do you think we felt when Trump won the first time and beat Hillary Clinton? You know, whether you loved or hated her, job should have been hers. Was it a coronation? We thought it would be a coronation. It wasn't. There are some people in America who felt differently. Point being, she ate it. Trump, you need to go ahead and eat it. Obviously, you don't have a problem eating things. I don't make fat jokes, but I just did. That's the end of that. Check me out, man. This has been Urban Politics. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music. Please, if you like the show, would you please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. If you like it, please be about subscribing. Now, I know sometimes we're on some of these different platforms, you try and subscribe, and they'll tell you, you got to log into YouTube, or you got to create a YouTube account, and make you go through some hoops and some hills and valleys and all that. It does do that. And I'm sorry about that. And if I could do anything about it, I would change it. But please go through those hoops, jump those hills, and subscribe to your boy. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm nothing without you. So once again, from your boy Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics, we'll do it again next week. See you around like a donut.